I met Anna in college. We were inseparable, sharing laughs through failed relationships, sleepless nights of studying, and the challenges of growing up. She was the kind of person who could brighten any room, while I was always happy being the quieter one beside her. When she started dating Mark, I had doubts at first. He seemed too polished, too perfect. But he made her smile, and that was what truly mattered. After 2 years of dating, they got married. I stood next to her in a light blue bridesmaid dress, tears of joy in my eyes. Mark blended into our lives effortlessly. He wasn't just Anna's husband. He became a friend. He had a calm and steady presence that perfectly balanced Anna's lively, whirlwind nature. As time passed, we settled into a comfortable routine. Game nights, dinner gatherings, and lazy Sunday afternoons. Sometimes I felt like a third wheel, but never in an awkward way. Anna even joked once that if anything ever happened to her, I should look after Mark. I laughed it off. But I started paying more attention to them. Not out of jealousy, at least not at first. Mark had this unique way of listening. When I spoke, he gave me his full attention. No glancing at his phone, no distractions. It was rare. Felt meaningful. I told myself it was just basic kindness, something many people had forgotten how to show. A few months ago, though, Anna began to complain more often. She said Mark had become distant. She thought it might be work stress or maybe even boredom. She didn't seem too worried, but the sparkle in her eyes dimmed a little when she talked about him. She told me they hadn't been close for months, that he hardly looked at her anymore. I didn't know what to say. I listened, nodding sometimes, offering empty encouragement like maybe he was just going through a tough time. I started noticing Mark's quietness too. He smiled less and joked less. His posture had changed, and he looked tired. I didn't ask about it. It wasn't my place, but something felt wrong. Then one night I caught myself looking at him differently. We were at their apartment watching a movie after Anna had fallen asleep on the couch. Instead of watching the screen, I found myself watching him. The way his hands moved, the way his jaw tightened when he thought. I quickly stopped myself, feeling silly. A line had been drawn in my mind, and I had always known not to cross it. But something had quietly shifted. The next day, I tried to ignore the feeling. I reminded myself he was married to my best friend. This was wrong. I convinced myself it was just a moment, that I was imagining feelings that weren't real. But deep down I felt a pull. Not desire, not love, just something confusing, unclear, and unspoken. Still I did nothing. Not yet. That moment, however, opened a door. A door I should have closed right away, but didn't. Maybe part of me was already curious about what was on the other side. Anna had to travel for a 5-day conference out of town. She asked me to stop by and check on Mark while she was away. Drop off a charger. Water the plants. Just small things. I said, sure, without thinking much of it. When I arrived, Mark looked surprised but smiled. He said he hadn't realized how quiet the apartment would feel without her. I stayed longer than planned, just talking. It felt innocent. We sat with coffee. Our conversation drifted from work to memories to things Anna had shared with each of us in confidence. Mark opened up. He said things had been difficult lately. Not only with Anna, but in life in general. He said he felt like a ghost in his own life, like he was just going through the motions. I didn't know how to respond. I wasn't expecting such honesty. I listened. It felt personal, private, and I stayed. The next day, I came back with something Anna had asked me to deliver. Mark invited me in again. This time there was wine. It was early evening. We talked for hours. There was something about the quiet and soft lighting that made everything feel too comfortable. Mark laughed at one of my stories and leaned in a little too close. I noticed I didn't pull away. Nothing happened, but I left with my heart racing. That night I couldn't sleep. I replayed the conversation over and over. His eyes, the way he spoke to me, the pauses between our words. I kept telling myself it was just the wine, just loneliness, nothing more. I wasn't doing anything wrong. I repeated that to myself many times. But the next time I saw him, everything felt different. The air between us was charged. He casually complimented my dress, but the words hung longer than they should have. We weren't flirting, not really, but something unspoken had begun, full of possibility and risk. I tried to ignore it, but it followed me like a shadow. That night Anna called me. She told me she missed Mark but was also enjoying the break. She said it was good to have some space. Hearing her voice made me feel sick. Her trust was so easy, so undeserved. I wanted to hang up, but I forced myself to keep the conversation light. Later that night, Mark sent me a text, a simple message saying, "Thanks for today." I stared at the message for a long time before replying. Of course, harmless. I kept telling myself it was harmless. Still, I started paying more attention to how I dressed before visiting. I cared more about my hair, my scent. Not because I wanted anything to happen, but because something already had. Not physically, not yet. But emotionally and mentally, that boundary had begun to blur. And once that line starts to fade, it doesn't take much for it to disappear completely. When Anna returned, something between the three of us had changed. She hugged me as usual, but her eyes stayed on me a little longer, as if she sensed something she couldn't name. She said the trip had been good, tiring but productive. Mark greeted her normally, polite and warm, but there was a stiffness none of us could explain. I stayed for dinner that night. We laughed, drank and ate, but every time Mark looked at me, it felt heavy, like a secret hanging quietly between us. Over the next week, Anna became quieter. She mentioned that Mark was still distant. She asked if he had said anything to me while she was away. I told her he hadn't. It wasn't a lie exactly, just not the whole truth. She seemed to accept it, but I noticed her watching me more closely. The distance between all of us kept shifting. The tension between us kept growing tighter. It happened on the night of a friend's birthday. We all went out, drinks, music, dancing. On the way home, Anna fell asleep in the car. Mark and I sat quietly. When we reached their place, he offered me a drink before heading to bed. I should have said no, but I didn't. I followed him into the kitchen. The moment felt unreal, too quiet, too close. He poured the drink and handed it to me. Our fingers touched. I didn't pull away. He looked at me for a long moment, then he kissed me. I didn't resist. I didn't even hesitate. Everything after that happened too fast, yet also felt slow, the kind of moment where you watch yourself from outside your body. I heard Anna's voice in my mind. Every laugh we shared, every story, every memory. Still I didn't stop. We crossed the line, completely and finally. When it was over, we said nothing. I left without looking back. Barely slept. The guilt didn't hit me like a wave. It crept in slowly, cold and sharp. I wanted to tell myself it was a mistake, a one-time thing, but that would be a lie. I had sensed it coming. I had allowed it to happen. That made it worse. The next day, Mark texted me. "We need to talk." I didn't reply. What was there to say? There was no way for things to go back to normal. I avoided Anna for a few days, telling her I was swamped with work. She sent me pictures of them at brunch. Laughing, holding hands. I stared at them too long. I felt like an intruder. In a moment of panic, I almost confessed. I picked up my phone, typed everything out, then deleted it. What would it change? The damage was already done, and it was ugly. Not dramatic, not romantic, just selfish, weak and real. Anna found out 3 days later. I didn't hear it from her. I heard it from Mark. He called me, his voice flat, and said, "She knows." I didn't ask how or what happened next. I just sat silently. I heard him breathing, waiting for me to say something. He couldn't. He said, "She's gone." Then the call ended. Later that night, Anna came to my door. Her face was unreadable. She didn't yell or cry. She only asked why. I opened my mouth, but no words came out. What could I say? That I didn't mean to. That I wasn't thinking. That it just happened. None of it would have mattered. She looked at me like I was a stranger, like everything we had shared was now a lie. Then she left, and I didn't stop her. Mark tried to talk to her. I know he did. He messaged me saying she moved in with her sister and wasn't answering calls. He said he missed her. I didn't reply. We didn't speak again after that. Whatever feelings there had been, desire, confusion, that brief connection, it broke under the weight of reality. The guilt changed into something worse. Shame. Not just for what I had done to Anna, but for who I had allowed myself to become. I deleted all our messages, every photo. I tried to erase the memory, but it stayed. I stopped going to our usual coffee shop. I unfollowed mutual friends. I didn't want to see the reflection of who I was now. I told people we had drifted apart, that Anna was busy, that I was focusing on myself. Lies. But easier than the truth. Weeks passed, then months. I heard through someone that Anna filed for divorce and that Mark moved out of the city. No one mentioned me. My name was left out of the conversation. It was as if I had been erased. Maybe that was the most just thing of all. I kept thinking about the moment before it happened. The second just before that first kiss. If I had stood up, walked away, said no, everything could have been different.